I was trying to think about, I was doing Grandma Graham's. I found her immigration papers.
Yeah.
And she immigrated from Canada to um, Colorado through what they call the port or portal in North Dakota.
Hmm.
So she came down through there and went, and that of course led me to
That's okay. Alexa, stop.
that led me to
Thinking about
when
her.
she and Grandpa Hogarth were divorced, and I found their divorce papers.
Wow.
Um, but I don't know when she married. It was Walt Anderson, wasn't it? The first
Bill.
one? Bill Anderson? Oh, that might be why I can't find him. And then Walter Graham.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've got to find those people next to see where she lived. I know she lived in Canyon City
Mm-hmm.
uh, uh, for until Walt died, I think it was, and
No.
then no,
Yeah, that's right. Okay, yes.
until Walt died, and then she moved when she got cancer. She moved in with Dixie and Hilton in Denver.
Mm-hmm.
So I have her death certificate, but I don't have the two um,
Marriage.
marriage certificates. So I'm working on that.
I'm trying to remember. I never even met Bill Anderson.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I think she got divorced, before I.
You were born, or
Or
well,
remember.
No, I was born because I can remember writing Grandma Anderson. But as far as actually meeting him, I know that he lived in Salida for a while, if that'll help you.
that's good.
Um, because when we rode the back way from Leadville, we usually stopped in Salida for root beer.
I remember that. I remember the monument on the hill wasn't to a dog or something weird.
Mm-hmm. But it seemed to me that when we went there, we probably passed a house or something. Whether he was still living there or not, I don't know. But Salida, you might take a look during that period of time.
Now Walt Graham had a daughter, Nettie. Was that her name?
No, never
'Cause
met her.
We went to Mom and I went to pick cherries at her house or something um, with Walt.
I know August is part of his family.
August.
Aldous.
I think so.
So anyway, I thought I'd check on that. And although it's lower priority but I'd like to know where Grandma lived at all the different
Yeah.
times. And she lived in Leadville with Walt Graham,
Mm-hmm.
and then he got so that he couldn't breathe up there because of his
Right.
C.
But she worked
PC,
up there
whatever.
when she lived on that little house
Yeah.
on the hill. So she was divorced then.
Oh, she was. Oh, did she? So she met Walt in Leadville.
Mm-hmm.
That'll help.
She probably applied for a job or something because he had that
The
restaurant
steakhouse.
that was part of the opera house.
That was sure fun. I remember going in there and
I think about it, and I think about you pulling your pants down on Main Street to pee because we were so used to peeing outside. Probably about 2 years, 2.5 years old.
She definitely doesn't remember
I
that.
don't remember that. I remember Mom telling me a story about you not liking underpants and sitting going to Woolworths and sitting on the stool and saying, "Ooh, that's cold," and she looked and you didn't have any underpants on.
I didn't.
I don't know how old you were.
It was last week. No, I'm kidding.
Well, I know that Mom said, if I would hold her hand, and she'd always check because somebody and had told her that, did you know your daughter didn't have any pants on, which would mortify Mother,
Yeah.
I didn't like socks either,
You didn't like tops either?
Socks.
Socks.
and Mother just always wanted me to wear socks with my shoes, and I never have to wear socks. I've bought shoes for years that I don't have to wear socks with them. Sandals, I remember, that were my favorite shoes.
I
Putting
get
socks and sandals, ridiculous.
Whenever I think of you in that lime green dress. She had a lime green dress that was a straight cut, and then she wore stockings that were lime green, not opaque ones, but sheer ones, and then she had shoes that matched it. Man, she looked like a model. She was so pretty. You were still so pretty.
Thank you so much.
But that's the memory I have of you. I don't know whether you were going to church, going to
I've gone to
work, and you worked at Nathan's, that's right.
Is that a department store? Or?
Yeah.
What department did you work in?
Any place they put me.
Uh-huh.
I made all their signs.
Oh.
For sales and stuff. I hated that part. Go up, and it was up in the attic. Hot.
Oh gosh.
And what you do is there was this big thing, and it had capital letters, and it had, smaller letters
case.
and everything. And you get to the very end of that sign and make a mistake, and you couldn't do anything about it. You had to start all over
Oh.
again. And that was just really the only part. They had me work in the office, and I was a sales girl, and I helped on occasion the window dresser. I liked that.
That would be fun.
I don't remember what the occasion was. Maybe it was when Mom had her gallbladder out. But I went into work with you one time. And I remember it because, first of all, there was an elevator. And I think a black man was the
Elevator
operator,
operator.
jockey or operator, whatever
yeah.
you call it. And he was really nice. And we had made cream cheese and olive sandwiches
Ugh.
for lunch.
That doesn't sound good to me. But I don't like olives.
Love it.
So
Yeah.
And so I had lunch with you in the break room or whatever they had there.
how old were you?
Probably, 9. You were probably 17. So minus.
They wanted to send me to NYU after I graduated.
Oh, I didn't know that. Who did? Nathan's? Well, how come you didn't go, you big dummy?
That's because I'm a big
What did they want to send you in business?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I didn't know that.
That's okay. She didn't know about the cookie
Cookies
dough.
Yeah.
No, they told me, that they would pay for it.
Wow.
I'd had it as far as
That's the way I
retail.
was.
I just couldn't picture myself
Doing it
7 years
forever.
from-
That's the way I was when I got out of high school. I was like, I'm out of high school. Ah!
And my thing was, I can earn more money because I can, because money was always my incentive. And once I started making it myself, babysitting and whatever, I had to do.
Never
So
want to
you-
go back.
You did Nathan's, and then was Ma Bell, the next thing
No.
you did? What'd you do next?
Worked for A&P.
Supermarket?
Mm-hmm.
What, checker or what?
Mhm.
Huh, I didn't know that.
That and a sample, thing when they had specials. I'd walk around and give people stuff. But I saved enough money from that. I don't think whether or not I worked for Morris Company. I think I worked for Morris's that Christmas before I went.
That was a hardware store? No,
Morris is in Metuchen, and it was a department store.
department store.
And because I come back from Colorado, and Dad didn't want me working because he could claim me on income tax. And so I didn't work for a couple of months, and then it came Christmas, and of course, I want money.
Mhm.
And so I had worked for Morris's as one of my first jobs as a gift wrapper when I was 13 or
Oh,
so.
my aunt, the rapper.
And anyway, I earned enough money in A&P. And see, one of the problems that I have is, and I'm not trying to say, but I'm very adaptable.
Uh-huh.
And they would always send me places. They would send me to different stores, and that telephone company did the same thing.
Uh-huh.
Sent me out to their branch offices and everything. And that part I liked. But anyway, I started with A&P, and it was in New Brunswick.
Uh-huh.
And then they transferred me out must have been East Brunswick or North Brunswick or something, and I had to take buses because I didn't have a car or anything.
Yeah.
So,
Well, everybody took buses.
yeah, but it was tedious because I'd have to take a bus to Miller's, and then I had to wait for another bus, to take me across
transfer.
town and
Yeah.
wherever it was. But I decided that I wanted to go to business college, so with A&P, I put the money away, and that's when I went to Drake's Business College.
I didn't know about that either.
Yeah.
Boy, I was a dummy as far as what you used to do.
Well, we were on
different planes.
yeah,
And how much do you pay attention when you're a kid to
Yeah.
things like that? I mean,
So the Nathan's was like a work program from school. I mean,
Yeah, it was part of the distributive education.
Okay.
You had to work X amount of hours, and they would evaluate you when it became school report card time. And I just stayed on with them because they liked me, and
they wanted to keep you.
so. But as I said, then I went to business college for comptometry and accounting, I think. Well, yeah.
Comptometry.
they're like big adding machines with tons of keys on them.
Yeah,
Huh.
9 keys across. 10 keys up and down and back and forth.
Wow.
It was the 50s version of a computer.
Yeah. And by the time I finished the course, the computers had started coming in, so they didn't use comptometers anymore. So, but my accounting stood for something too. I probably didn't do very well on the comptometer because I just don't have the coordination. Like working on a computer, but it's not anything. If I had an interest in it, my dad did, he did a lot of work on the computer. But anyway, and then we ended up going to California.
Yeah. And there when we lived in Arlington,
Mm-hmm.
you were with us. You were living with Mom and Dad.
Mm-hmm.
And was that when you were working in the restaurant, the Mexican
Mm-mm.
restaurant? No.
No, that was long after. I was working for New Jersey Bell when Dad moved.
Right.
And so I figured that if I worked for Bell, I could work for Bell in
Pacific Bell.
California.
Yeah.
And so I had to wait a while before they had an opening, but they started me as a service rep rather than a cashier, which is what I was in New Jersey.
You were a cashier in New Jersey?
Mm-hmm.
And then
Because they had, people would pay their bills
Right.
and come into the office
Right.
and everything. And then if they had any complaints, that was the flip over that they would do, that if they didn't have a service rep there to explain the bills or, whatever. And so they would put me in there. Just
So you're the all-around handy girl.
Somebody's
That's
sick,
invaluable.
somebody's sick, send her out, or if they're on vacation, or they lost an employee and we need to have somebody fill in until they get one. And as I said,
A Jane of all trades.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
was a smart lady. I
I
mean, she
wanted-
still is a
I was
smart
gonna
lady,
say.
But she,
I wanted to go to Disneyland, and the
Woohoo.
closest I got to it was I worked the telephone company thing in the LA fair.
they had a big, it's like the movie theater that has vision all around you.
The Circle Vision.
Circle Vision, and they had a display demonstration, whatever you call it, from AT&T, and they kind of
There would be they'd get numbers and stuff, and they would spin the wheel, and whoever's number came up, they would get a free long distance call.
Oh.
which was quite something.
No,
back then.
I remember. Yeah, that
And,
gets.
that would make people very happy because they could call people who didn't really.
Haven't seen in years, maybe. Or
So that was.
I don't understand why they didn't give that to you. Did you want to go to Hawaii too? No, somebody else.
Somebody else.
me, I want to go to Hawaii.
No, I remember somebody working with me or something who wanted to go to Hawaii office, and then they found out you have to spell ukalaka wukuhoa. And they said it was impossible. You had to, I think the thing was you had to live there for 2 years before they would put you in,
Wow.
hire you, because ukalaka wukuhoa was
Yeah.
impossible to spell.
They did after I gave them notice,
This is
They-
Pac Bell.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
and they said that if I wouldn't leave, that they'd put me in Disneyland when there was an opening.
Oh, when there's an opening.
And I was mad because, I worked for them and I thought I was good enough to go to Disneyland. And so that's when I quit and then started working with RB down in Tustin,
And that's, you remember the name of the restaurant?
La Paloma.
La Paloma, that's what it was.
La Paloma.
And she was the hostess, and you ended up being the cashier, the balance the books and things like that,
Yeah.
huh?
And like I said, apparently I'm not meant to just do what I was hired to do. But I waited
when you're
tables
capable.
and, and cleaned up and
You did whatever was
everything.
needed.
And they asked me to do payrolls. Oh, what the hell? You don't have payroll. And then I started dating their son.
I was going to say, didn't you date
Oh.
Yeah.
And he was,
We were, pretty close, and then his mother and father didn't want us to see any more of each other because they were Catholic and I wasn't.
what was his last name? Do you remember?
Miller, Max Miller. And when I went to New Jersey, I didn't see him or anything, but Miller's is still around, and they have apparently a big store outside of New Brunswick. And I don't know whether he is still, he had an adopted brother, and the Arby didn't really care about a hardware store. And I heard that he got married and that he and his wife had a dress store.
Huh.
So I don't know, whatever transpired, or, whether he's still involved in Miller's, or whether his adopted brother did
So
that.
his dad had a restaurant in California, and then the hardware store in New Jersey.
No, the restaurant was Arby. Can't remember his last name.
Okay, well,
Yeah, but Max Miller was New Jersey.
New Jersey. Okay,
I'm sorry, didn't mean to confuse you.
so you did everything at La Paloma, and then what happened with La Paloma? You found
They couldn't make enough money,
oh
and so they ended up closing the restaurant there. But Arby was really neat because he was managing there, and he said, we're going to have to let you go. And he said, but why don't you just work half a day, and I'll let you go, and you can find another job. So he sort of, it didn't take me long to find another job, and that was.
where did you go then?
I went to the power company. I can't remember the name of it. And they didn't have any service reps, but they didn't want to lose me. So they brought me in and taught me how to use the PBX. And
What's a
that
PBX?
was so outmoded.
The phone system.
Oh, the
plugs.
that thing looks cool.
So they started me there because the girl was on vacation, and then they had me on a special project that they were doing. I can't remember, but I didn't like it because it was boring.
Yeah.
Nothing, and so then I decided to go back to live with Mom and Dad for a while until I got another job.
Was that in Riverside?
Mm-hmm.
I remember that.
Yeah. And then I met Bill.
And that's all I have to say about that.
Wah, wah, wah.
Nobody's speaking to him. He could be dead.
Here. Oh my goodness. And then there was Bill.
It was so funny. I had a dream the other night, and there was a gurney, and it was being rolled, and I looked down, and it was Bill. And for some reason, I started walking alongside of it, and the face changed, and it was Jeff. It was so weird.
Well, they looked a lot alike.
Oh, yeah. But,
That makes sense.
But yeah.
it just sort of
Freaked you out, huh?
So, it bothered me enough that I was going to call Bill, to see if his line was still. Because the last time we heard, and I don't even know who she heard it from, but apparently Bill was going to go to a home.
Hospice.
Assisted living. kind of-
Nursing home.
Yeah, because he's been on hospice for 5 years. We don't even, we know I know there's something wrong with him because I was there, and he coughs, and, he's just congested all the time and has to, get all that phlegm and everything out. And so I know he's sick, but I don't know
details of.
Yeah.
He's got probably CO, whatever it is, where your lungs are
Not expanding enough.
shot
Yeah.
because you smoked and
Mm-hmm.
abused yourself.
Oh dear. I looked at him, when I went to with Lisa and Stefan to stayed 2 days with the kids, stayed longer. I looked at him and I said, well, is that leather jacket worth it? Because they would give little coupons and they were worth
Oh, like Raleigh cigarettes?
yes.
Hmm.
And so he was
You'd save all your
he was saving all of his coupons and getting them from friends, and if he saw a crumpled cigarette pack and had the coupon on
It's like box tops, but
Yeah,
for cigarettes.
yeah.
exactly.
For a leather jacket.
Well, or green stamps were another thing that we used to collect, or blue chip stamps.
Both, yeah.
And you'd get them like at the gas station or at the grocery store, and they had books that you put all these stamps in. And Mom was a great one for using green stamps and then going. I think it was in New Brunswick where the catalog or the redemption place was,
Yeah.
and you walk in and you say, I want the flowered footstool or whatever it was. Here's my 83 books of green stamps.
Yeah, that was it. Oh, jeez. And
Here's my 12,000 Raleigh coupons.
I remember when they used to put like a dish or something in laundry detergent, or was that for your
No, I remember, also I remember going to the gas station and then having, you could buy a dish for 25 cents if you got a fill up or something like that. They had,
Abbott and Costello.
yeah,
all sorts of gimmicks.
to get people in,
Yeah.
including good service. What a shock.
Well, at least they
In
still
New Jersey, you still have to, the guy still has to put your gas in. You can't it's not self-serve at all. It's,
I don't know why, but as I said, that's true, because I was amazed. I got out and started to say, no, and then he told me that they had to.
Well, I bet they have a lot less accidents with like pulling the fuel pump out or
well, that and
overfilling
it
and
keeps people's jobs.
Mhm.
People have jobs because of it. And
I was thinking we still have gimmicks, only now we have apps, but no service.
yeah, no service.
Less service and more apps.
And then, remember service merchandise?
Service merchandise.
It
No.
was like an outlet store, but you could get anything cost to cash, but it was supposed to be, at least 30% cheaper than
Oh, so like an outlet
Any
mall,
place.
but
they had one out by the mall.
Hmm.
And now it's something else.
By what mall?
I can think of South Bend, the one by my house.
Was this in California?
Yeah,
I don't remember that at all.
probably don't.
I remember the big, I don't know what kind of store it was. It had everything in it, including hobbies in Cleveland, Ohio. It wasn't too far from where we were. And I can remember in the big snowstorm that we had, making our way out because we were all going crazy because it was
nothing to do.
piled up with snow and you couldn't get anywhere particularly, and this was only like half a mile away, and so we trooped out and got paint by numbers things and mosaics, and I can't
Wood
remember.
burning.
Wood burning. I've never wood burned.
I did.
I have a wood burner at home. I saw it and I went, oh, and Michael bought it for me because he's a nice man. But I've never used it.
Well, we should burn some wood.
If I did, Michael would have
I'll burn some wood. You direct me.
he'd have a stroke because you could smell the wood burning.
True.
And he'd think the house was on fire.
Well, less so now. He's mellowed quite a bit.
It's funny that any of us ever survived, considering the
How we
things,
grew up.
we had paint, we had wood burning, where you could burn yourself and everything, and nobody ever complained.
Mhm.
And you turn around and everything.
Everyone's bubble wrapped now with the kids. Yeah, it's like I rode in the back of trucks, and this was my car seat. Wasn't one.
Laying back on the back deck of the car had like where the front deck is. Same thing, but in the back. And you throw your pillow up there and
just kind of
lay down in the back window and
I remember sleeping in the back
Sleep.
window.
Yeah, can't do that now.
and standing on the hump in the back of the car and leaning across the
the bench
bench
seat in the front.
and talking to your parents while you're driving down the road.
Well, you drove lower speed limits
Was it
then.
you or me who was on the back hump, and I think it was Grandpa Hogarth was driving, and he did something and threw the car in reverse. I guess he was used to a standard shift, and it was an automatic, and Dad was teaching him how it worked, And one of us was standing on the back hump, and he threw it in reverse, and it, of course, stopped the car really fast, and we flipped over the seat, and we're laying there on the front seat.
Going, how'd I get here?
And no, he looked at Dad and said, "He doesn't drive as well as you do, does he?"
I can remember going from New Jersey to California and being in Grandpa's car, and he is one of the people that go up to the speed limit and then you drop down.
The loose ankle.
Fade away,
Speed.
yeah.
So you're going.
Talk about car sick.
Oh, no wonder there was. That makes sense why there's more car sickness when a long time ago. Because now we've got like cruise control and
Roads are
it's
better,
smoother
too.
roads, and
Yeah.
smoother driving, so less car sickness.
I remember driving you through Texas and not being able to tell really where the road was, and we were following the telephone poles.
Oh,
Because of sand.
No, because of snow,
Snow.
lots of snow.
I remember crickets in Texas.
That was awful.
They were, and the car would slide
Ew.
because there were so many of them on the
Yeah.
road. You'd roll over them, and they
Just snap.
Just skid on the innards of
Yeah,
crickets.
yeah, it was really fun, and it was fun to go into the bathroom because Mom would stand there with a newspaper, going like this, across the
Smacking 'em
toilet
around.
so you could sit down without sitting on crickets.
She ended up holding Judy over the sink because she didn't want her to get near the toilet, and she was holding her so that she could go to the bathroom.
You know the bathroom is bad
Yeah.
when
Oh, my
when you
goodness.
prefer
They
peeing
were
in the
up
sink.
2 or 3 stories.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
You know,
it was
I have
it was
never
crazy.
Through anything like that in my life.
It was like the pioneer cricket problem.
Sounds like it.
Like the thing is, all the people that lived there, what they were.
Oh my
Would drive
God.
you nuts.
Or the cicadas.
Cicadas, yeah.
You remember the cicadas? Cicadas.
Cicadas were in by Sheila
Yeah, in New Brunswick.
and Bamber.
Okay, in Bound Brook. Okay, and I didn't like that at all either. They only come out like once every 5 years.
7 years, I think.
And they
yeah.
make weird noises, and there's
Then they die.
hordes of them.
I guess they eat just about anything.
Mm-hmm. I love Idaho.
But you don't hear about it anymore.
No. Well, we've got all sorts of
Pesticides.
pesticides to kill them, and things like kill the bug, kill the people.
Yeah.
So anyway, I remember. And the other thing I remember was me going from California to, from New Jersey to California, and me sticking my lower lip out and saying I didn't want to move. And Dad mentioned Anaheim, and I said,
What's the big deal with
Disneyland.
Anaheim?
and then he said, that's where Disneyland is. I was like packing my things. And he said, and that was number one thing. And then number two thing was, I said, can I have hamburgers? And he said, yep, you can have hamburgers for breakfast if you can find a place that'll serve them to you. So I was ready to go. I was going to get my hamburgers and I was going to see Disneyland.
And I was looking forward to tacos. And I didn't like them at all.
When we got to the first tacos we had were awful because they were almost like a sausage, and you took a bite of them and they just gushed out. And I think Grandpa tried them first and brought some home for us to try, and we all went,
never again.
And then we moved away, and Sandy found Taco Tia. And when we came back, she said, you want a taco? And I went, no! And she went, no, these are really good.
An actual good taco.
Yeah. And so we
I
always...
wonder if they still have one in Sandra, maybe.
I don't know. I love taco. In my brain, ain't nothing better than Taco Tia and Delia's grinders. But anyway, we drove down the southern way to California from New Jersey, and I remember going to we stopped in New Mexico, and they had what you put maple syrup in, thing. They had what we thought was like Thousand Island dressing. And so we poured it on something, I don't know what, but it turned out to be jalapeno peppers in there. And we were like,
surprise, surprise.
It was not good. And
people in the back laughing, gringos.
That and did you get the flu when we first got to Arlington, when we were staying in the motel?
Yes, you.
It was just me. And I can remember being so sick and Dad dragging me into the bathroom because
Couldn't
I was
move.
just-
It took a while to find a doctor that would come.
yeah, Dr. Childers.
No, Childers.
Oh,
was
no,
in
Childers
New
with New Jersey.
This
Dr. Brown, Charlie Brown.
That's right.
And he made a house call, which didn't happen as often back then. In New Jersey, Dr. Childers always made house calls, but Dad found somebody who said he would come out, and his name was Charlie Brown because Dad was kind of about that. But I was I had my head in the toilet. I was just puking my guts out.
We were scared, because she just couldn't stop throwing up.
It was like,
Dad?
yeah, it was like when I fell off the bed. I rolled off the bed and just laid there when
Only with
around
vomiting?
COVID.
Yes.
And
We couldn't get her up. So I just sat down on the ground with her and put her head in my lap because we couldn't. She was just gone.
not fun. Not fun for you. Not fun for me.
But the vomiting thing, that I think of Dad.
Yeah, Dad.
It's like 4 hours straight.
One month, I had 5 shots. 3 in one arm, and then my shingles, I had to wait another month for that. And then I didn't remember if I'd had a tetanus shot, so they gave me one for that. I think I've been inoculated for everything.
Yeah.
It's like I have more vaccines than blood right now.
Oh, dear.
Then we moved out to Arlington and we moved into the Orange Grove area. We were in a guest house. the house of the landlord was on Gramercy Place, and then you went back on the driveway, and there was another little house there, and we just stayed that not too long. It was like a stopgap.
Do you remember the snake in the bird's nest?
No.
And I'm not sure whether it's the first place we lived or the second, but they had a vine, on a lattice and everything, and a bird had made a nest and laid eggs and everything. And we were waiting for the baby birds, so we were looking
Every day.
every day. And all of a sudden you look in and something was looking back at you, and it was a snake, and he had eaten all the eggs.
Aww.
Nasty rotten
Circle of life.
snake.
So unhappy because we were looking for birds.
I think that must have been Gramercy Place, because I seem to remember a trellis with,
Yeah, it was right by a door.
yeah.
I don't know if it was front or back door, probably.
And I don't remember, I guess Heidi Road was no.
Heidi Road was.
We moved away from Mom and Dad
West
and I
Virginia.
moved away from California to do the West Virginia thing. And you stayed in California, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then finally we made it back to California. Oh no, we moved up to Concord. From Southern California, we moved up to the Concord.
That's right.
And that's where I met Dottie.
Because we went up, we originally took the train up to
What was her last
Sandra.
name?
Dottie Willis.
Willis.
I've tried so hard to find her. And I can't find her. The last thing that I found on her was she was living in Hemet. But she and David ended up buying an antique store.
Oh, fun.
And apparently they couldn't make any money on it. And, so they moved, and apparently, they got a black mark against them because they didn't pay some taxes and stuff like that. I had gone through one of those people finders even. And the last thing I could find about David was that he was living in Hemet, but there was no Dottie. But she had a boy and a girl, who probably leases in Jeff's age.
Well, I remember you guys coming up to Concord. And Dad's cast.
Yep.
You had a cast?
He dropped a manhole cover on his foot.
Ow.
He was touring some VIPs around John's Manville, and he dropped, showing him a
Hey, look at this.
And dropped it on his foot, and then went, oh, no, it's okay. And he walked around on it for a while, and then they went to a bar and had some drinks, and by the time he got home, his foot was huge.
Oh.
And he was not a happy camper.
No.
First time I've ever heard of him yell at Mom, because she kept trying to put ice on it or put hot on it or, whatever. And he was just having, no, leave me alone.
Well, she's trying to help because she's Canadian.
Exactly,
He
Canadian.
did the same thing when he had shingles.
You just want to help, and there's nothing you can do.
Wasn't in the mood to have anybody.
Yeah, and so he went to the doctor, and the doctor put a walking cast on his foot. And Mom and I went to visit Grandma Graham, and I don't know whether she's just had enough of him and we went to visit Grandma or what. But he drove with some buddies to Las Vegas.
In a walking cast?
Volkswagen, and it was on his right foot, and he drove that stupid Volkswagen with a standard shift.
Wow.
With one foot.
Wow.
And they went to Las Vegas.
That's determination right there.
Oh, man. And they came home, we came home, and then it was in the summer, And we had it was an apartment house, and they had a swimming pool. And Dad kept going, oh, he wanted to go swimming. And they tried putting a plastic bag over his, not working. So finally, we were talking to the landlord, and the landlord was out with his big clippers for the hedges.
No, I know where this is going.
and Dad said, I want to talk to you. I don't remember the man's name. I want to talk to you, Fred. Come out here for a minute. So they walked out the door, and they came back in, and Dad had the walking cast in his hand in 2 pieces. And he looked at Mom and said, it broke. So he went swimming, and the doctor said, it was,
you got what you got.
It was healed enough, I guess, that he didn't think putting it back in the
Let
cast.
him put another
Maybe, I don't
cast
know,
on
but
his-
whatever happened.
It's like when they try to put you in
happened.
the clamshell again. You're like,
Yeah. It was just really, it was funny though, because I can remember
It
him
broke.
walking in,
A good patient.
walking in with that
I can
thing.
see that. I can see Grandpa. It broke.
And then he put on his swimming trunks, and off he went to the swimming pool. And I, of course, thought it was hilarious, and Mom
And
did
not so much.
No.